Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. You've tuned in to Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. And today, as you can see with my shirt, we're going to be breaking down the UFC. Finally, we had a midweek card. It's been a really long time since that's happened. They went to Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, and they've decided to put on 4 cards in 2 weeks. So we get a Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday situation here. So last night's card was a lot of fun, a lot of no names, but we're going to start right off with the main event, and we're going to bring in our analyst, Jason Cameron, to the mix, and we'll be able to break it down for you. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you very much, Darren. I'm doing very well. The day is nice again, so I'm a happy man.
Oh, terrific. Good to hear. Great. So nice to have a midweek card. It's kind of a treat being able to have 3 cards in 7 days. So let's break it down. The main event was a pretty good showing. Obviously, really amazing performance by Calvin Kattar and Dan Ige. Even though he got beat up, wow, he's a warrior. That was a pretty amazing fight.
You know, at the beginning of the fight, it was closer, but as the fight wore on, Kattar began to pull away. Even though that he suffered a pretty significant injury early on in the fight, looked like he suffered a broken nose right away. And so obviously trying to breeze through that is kind of difficult. And obviously that'll affect your stamina and your cardio and stuff. But those guys came in great shape, tremendous shape. And yeah, man, both of them have their styles and their stand-up, but I thought that Kattar's counters were more effective than Dan Ige's. Although Dan Ige did have a speed advantage for a while until he got tired himself.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I think Kattar's jab was just phenomenal last night. He just was able to just stick that jab, and really, I thought it was the deciding factor in the fight. He just, was relentless with it, and those counters, like you say, kept DJ from, giving him too much damage. Other than that broken nose, I think that's the second time he's broken his nose in the last couple of fights. But he still was a warrior and powered through it.
Yeah, like I could see it begin to turn right at the, I want to say, end of the third, going definitely into the fourth. You could feel that Kattar was beginning to take over the fight, and that he was beginning to dictate terms to how Ige was going to try to fight him, right? So, yeah, great win by Calvin Kattar, though. Great win by Calvin Kattar. Oh, by the way, I did have him winning that fight, so.
Yeah. So did I. I thought he was, I thought he was the more talented guy, and definitely seemed to be the one we should put some money on. He's number 6 ranked, and I mean, there's a lot of opened up possibilities for him to fight some of the great people up there. There is a lot of talk about some of those top 4 contenders in front of him fighting each other, and trying to get somebody that comes out of the mix there. But I think he's in line for even higher ranked guys and even higher ranked guys. So good on him. That was a really good performance, and I think the UFC is going to be impressed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely an impressive win for Kattar, and nobody less than top 5, obviously, that he fights next. Probably maybe the second place guy, the third place guy, or something. And then after that, if he wins again, he's going to put himself in line for a title shot pretty quick.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've heard some rumors already, and it's going to be fun. He's a really talented fighter. I saw a stat today, and I've yet to confirm it, but I'd like to throw it out there. Supposedly, this was the second card in history with 0 knockdowns. I don't know if that's true. I've got to go back and look at a bunch of that. 0 knockdowns in the whole fight. They said that happened once in 2007. So it's hard to know. I think that can't be right, but I don't know. That just came across the screen, and I thought, okay, well, I'll mention it, and then we'll have to look into it, and we'll talk about it next week, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very weird and different dynamic when it comes to the 0 knockdown thing for every event. Like, because now when I think back to the event that we watched, that did not strike me as a thing. I'm gonna be honest. It
No.
didn't strike me as a thing.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to any event that I can possibly remember that had no knockdowns. So okay, cool. It's definitely a weird stat. I've never even heard of that stat being thrown out there like that.
Yeah, that really shocked me. So yeah, I think it'll be something for me to do some research on and see if that's a possibility. But yeah, that would be incredible. So yeah, let's switch to the co-main event. You and I spoke that it shouldn't have been the co-main event. It was two guys that had been really struggling lately and hadn't quite shown their mettle to be co-main event guys. But we talked about Cody Stamann and Jimmy Rivera being that. But let's go right to Tim Elliott and Ryan Benoit. Tim Elliott, he's an exciting fighter. He definitely throws a lot of strikes, and he has a very unorthodox style, jumps around quite a bit. What do you think? It turned out to be a unanimous decision on his part, and I think he did pretty well.
Yeah, no, I think he did well. Like, he's got that weird unorthodox movement. It's not the same. Let me be clear on that. It's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of Dominic Cruz. But it's not the same as Dominic Cruz. All right, I'll be clear on that. It just kind of reminds me of that. His is a little bit more herky jerky, and it's his own style. All right, and that's where I'm going to go with that. But yeah, Elliott, the one thing about him is he keeps busy. He keeps throwing stuff out there, right? So as long as he keeps busy and he keeps throwing stuff out there, you as another fighter, even if it's not hurting you, you got to keep throwing as well, because it looks like he's winning the fight if he keeps continually throwing and stuff like that, right? I thought, the more effective punches actually came from Benoit. But when it came to the grappling exchanges, Elliott, for the most part, got the best out of him on those grappling exchanges. And I think that's really what won him the fight, for sure.
There was a lot of tweets that were coming up on the screen, and guys were saying that Benoit won that round, and Benoit was up 2, and kind of controversial. When the decision was made, Benoit looked really mad. He thought he had won the fight. It seemed to me that Elliott was the winner, but it seemed like a lot of other people that were watching it thought Benoit had taken it. What was your thoughts as it was coming close to that decision?
Okay, well, the first thing I'll say is this. If Benoit in the second hadn't readjusted his grip for that knee bar that he had, which he actually had, he would have won the fight then. You saw the tremendous amount of pain Elliott had on his face.
Yeah.
That was tight.
Yeah, definitely
super tight.
Wow.
And I think personally, if he just had not readjusted his grip to try to get a better grip on that knee bar, I think he would have ended the fight right there. So, and yeah, it's one of those fights that I can see where the Benoit followers were saying that maybe he should have won the fight, because he did, I think, had the more effective power punches throughout the course of the fight, right? But I think Elliott won it on his grappling, because I think he won in his grappling matches, and the fact that he just kept peppering. He kept throwing out punches and kicks and just kept peppering and peppering and peppering. And I think that came into the judge's decision-making on him winning the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The only thing that I can say more is that Benoit was definitely headhunting. He was landing some damaging punches, but Elliott was, hitting to the body, hitting to the head, kicks. He had the full arsenal out there. So yeah, I mean, when I was judging it, to me, Elliott just was way more all around, and Benoit was just headhunting, and he damaged him, but I think Elliott won that. So, let's switch now to the Cody Stamann Jimmy Rivera fight. I enjoyed it. It's not the best performance I've seen from either guy, but Jimmy Rivera, was pretty critical of his performance, saying that he came in really short notice and wasn't able to put on the performance that he normally does. But those guys are fast, and they can be really fun when they are trading punches in the phone booth.
Yeah, fast, powerful, strong, explosive. Both those athletes. I just felt, I'll give Rivera some credit. On his short notice, he still got off first. And I think that was the one thing that was consistent throughout every round of that fight. Rivera got off first, and Stamann just seemed to be a touch slow on all the exchanges, and that was literally the difference. And also too, I think Stamen was possibly a touch slow, knowing how effective Rivera countered him, and Rivera countered him very well with blinding fast hooks and uppercuts that he tagged him with. Real hard shots too, man. So I can see why Stamen was trying to figure him out still, but at the same time, Rivera always got off first. He was always the first to punch and everything else, and that's what led him to victory. He really controlled the fight doing that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Rivera's faced stiffer competition than Stamen. I thought Rivera was going to win. Yeah, he's so quick, and he is the first to the punch all the time. He is just, and he's so elusive. Really, really impressive guy, and hopefully he gets a full camp for his next fight. Cody Stamen fought like a month ago, and so another short camp for him too. But yeah, I think that competition step up from Kelleher to Rivera was too much for Stamen at this point. But yeah, I enjoyed the fight. Those guys are just so quick, and yeah, it's always fun when they just start throwing, and lots of really, really quick punches.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like I look forward to seeing Rivera again when he steps into the ring again, because if that was his performance off of whatever you said, 6 days notice, that's pretty impressive against the top-ranked guy. You know what I mean? Like that's very impressive against the top-ranked guy. So I look forward to whoever the UFC fight puts in front of Rivera for his next fight. And I'm sure Stamen will bounce back from this, and you know he'll do great for his next fight as well.
Yeah, yeah. So the fight right before that was Meatball McCann and Kyla Santos. Meatball is definitely very, very tough girl, but overmatched with the Brazilian. Santos looked just phenomenal. She has a 6-inch reach advantage. She was just really phenomenal with her takedowns and just dominated. I was super impressed with Santos. Best I've ever seen her by far.
She dominated every aspect of that fight. She used her reach advantage to its best. You know, like she used that. Her kicks were on point. Her knees were incredible. And then when she took her to the ground, solid ground control. McCann really didn't have an answer for anything for her on the ground. Like every aspect of that fight, Santos controlled. Dominant win by her. Dominant win.
Yeah, it was. She was an underdog going in, which, yeah. After you saw that, you thought, wow, they definitely had that wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know what she, what she did in her camp, but whoa, she just was super impressive and didn't give McCann a shot at all. McCann has really looked tough in a lot of her fights, and she's game, but she just didn't have an answer for anything that Santos was throwing her way. And yeah, I'm super impressed. I think very bright future. She's 15-1, and one of those Brazilians that fights out of an amazing camp, and just her length is going to give a lot of girls trouble at that 125. It's it's amazing how tall she is, and 6-inch reach advantage, and then even longer with the kicks. She was just keeping her so far on the outside. There was nothing that McCann could do.
No, yep, kept her at distance. McCann needed to really work within that distance to try to do her work. But even then, when she got in a distance, she still got cracked with elbows, punches, and stuff. So, yeah, hats off to Santos, man. Really, really dominant win on her part. Very dominant win.
Yeah. So the fight right before this one was the Abdul Razak Ahassan against Moner Lazez. Lazez was a newcomer, came in. I heard on the telecast that some friend came up to Dana and said, "Oh my God, you got to see this footage. You got to see this guy. Give him a chance. He's an Abu Dhabi guy. He lives right here. You'll be able to just take a cab to the fight and be here right for able to answer the bell." And Abdul Razak Hassan, holy cow, that guy just came out and just went guns a-blazing. But Lazez just didn't seem to, worry about it. He weathered the storm and, ended up really, really having an amazing fight for the rest of the rest of the two rounds, like after the first round, oh my God, I couldn't believe the turnaround, and it was super impressive, a debut for him.
Yeah, like the first round was amazing because Al Hassan came out. It was just throwing hook after hook after hook after hook. Like he thought, I'm just gonna get this guy out of here. I'm gonna throw punches for. I want to say, first 90 seconds of that fight, he just threw and threw and threw and threw and threw, but Lazzez covered up well. He weathered the storm, but he kept smiling, and I go, oh, that's different. It's like he rope-a-doped him for a little bit. He just weathered the storm, let him punch himself out. And I'll say this, Lazzez ate some shots to the chin during that time. The man is tough. His buddy was right. That guy can fight. That guy can like if you get Paul Felder and Michael Bisping keep praising you throughout the fight, saying, oh man, I want to train with this guy. This guy's that good. Like his stand-up was exceptional.
Yeah.
He just started picking apart with the step-in elbows too and stuff like that. Oh man, I was impressed. That guy's got a bright future ahead of him. Very
bright. Yeah, you're right. He sure does. Yeah, I was just blown away. He was covering up, and he looked like he got himself into trouble a little bit, but he was weathering the storm, like you say, and he was just taking the bombs and trying to move away and covering up. He was blocking a lot of the shots, but holy cow, those shots were really, really heavy, and they would have knocked down almost any other human on the planet. So holy cow, his chin stood up to that. And then wow, what an impressive debut. Just such an amazing performance. I can't wait to see him fight again. He's called out Mike Perry too, which it would be great if they can make that fight work.
Well, I'll say this: the man doesn't want easy fights. That's for sure. Oh man, like the guy just goes, that guy was super powerful. Like, do you see Al Hassan's thighs? Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, like the guy's built like a tank, a little mini tank, and now he wants to take on another little mini tank, and Mike Perry. Okay, buddy. Okay, they'll probably make that fight happen. Yeah. But the other thing I want to point to is the man's footwork was amazing. The way that he spun out and circled out always, but tight circles. Really impressed by that, man. Really, really impressive. Impressive stuff by Lazzez. I look forward to seeing him again as soon as possible too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The other thing that stood out for me in that fight was the referee. I think his name is Dan Mavahedi. Wow, he just kept standing them up. Just horrible stand-ups. They went to the ground. They weren't moving around for 10 seconds, and then boom, he's telling them to stand up. Like, it was one of the most horrible referees decisions that I've seen. Just the way he was handling that fight was just terrible. I hope that we don't see him in the cage for a while.
I'm sure the upper echelon of the UFC have seen his style of reffing and just like, I guess he gets bored. Like, it's like, you're on the ground too long. I don't like seeing what I'm seeing. You're up. So, in the UFC's best interests, they'll probably limit his participation for the next couple. I would imagine. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how many referees and judges they have at their disposal here. It's they're all in this bubble. They would have had to quarantine. They would have had to get the COVID testing. I'm not sure if they would have had some extra guys just in case. It's something maybe for me to check into. But yeah, that was it was just horrible. Anybody that likes fighting, grappling, wrestling, any of that kind of stuff must have just been screaming at their TV because, the guy had dominant position. He was, trying to get to even more of a advantageous position, but, he wasn't even giving them that opportunity, just standing them right back up and saying, let's go, more action. It was not a good display of refereeing, and I sure hope they can replace him. He's got to learn the game that is, it's mixed martial arts. They fight on the ground and standing up. It's not kickboxing. It's not boxing. It's mixed martial arts. So, hey, give him an opportunity when the guy's on the ground trying to dominate. And yeah, it's just not the way it's supposed to go.
No, man. Like, you let the guy go to work. Like, how many times did you hear advance the position? And you're like, Well, they're up against the cage. He's in a dominant position. What do you want him to do? like even Bisping, I think he said, you want him to take his back? I don't think he can take his back because he's on the ground.
Yeah.
What did you talk like? There was a lot of things where you're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. So this is what I hope then. If they don't have extra refs, which they probably don't, that maybe one of the senior refs say, hey, pull the guy aside and say, this is kind of what I'm thinking how you should be calling it when they're on the ground. You gotta let guys work. Like if they're using stalling and delay tactics, yeah, then you stand them up, especially if they're going to be doing that for a long time. But not if they're putting in work. Then you're taking away from the situation where they earned that, right? They earned that situation to be where they need to be. And now you got to let the guys work. And if you're not going to let the guys work, you might cost them the fight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, okay, let's switch to another debut. This guy, Hamzat Chimaev, he's from Sweden, originally from Chechnya. What a phenomenal debut by this guy. Holy cow, just brutal ground and pound. Phillips came out guns and blazing like he normally does. He's called John Phillips is called the Welsh wrecking machine, and he comes out and he just tries to knock guys out immediately. Chimaev was able to keep him away and all of a sudden just take him down, and just holy cow, this Chimaev, one of the most incredible performances. I'm blown away sometimes when this guy makes his debut and comes in and is that talented so quick.
Yeah, man, like he basically just put it on rewind and replay every time for every round, which is like that first round. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody come out that quickly. Head kick, tackle to the ground, and that was it. And then he just put him to the ground and he put him through the meat grinder. He beat him up round after round after round. Like I'm sure Phillips was just like, oh my God, it's a horrible nightmare. I mean, a nightmare right now. I just went through this the last round. But that's just how dominant and how great Chimaev was. And then finally to get the Darce choke as a finish. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it was just gorgeous. I think the significant strikes were 72-1. I think I saw 72-1. So yeah, it was super lopsided.
Yeah.
Amazing Darce choke. Take him out a minute and 12 into the second round. 6-0. Wow. I thought he would have had a much longer record. I really want to dig more deep into his amateur career. What other type of fighting he's done, because to be that talented already at 6-0, wow, that's blows me away. He called out Donald Cerrone after. He said, hey, give me him. I want to beat him up, and yeah, hopefully UFC gives him a guy like that. I don't know if they will, because Donald Cerrone's such an experienced vet. Maybe he should get somebody different, but yeah, immediately Chimaev is like, hey, I'm elite. Nobody knows about me, but I'm elite. I'm gonna take over this division, and can't dispute him on that performance.
No, you can't. I don't think he gets Donald Cerrone right away. I'm gonna be honest. He probably gets somebody obviously a little bit better, a little bit more upper echelon for sure, than Phillips. But I think he's still got a couple fights before he gets Mr. Cerrone.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. Talk about this Leron Murphy and Ricardo Ramos. Murphy came in. He's called the Miracle. He really, was just brutal with his ground and pound. Looks amazing shape. Was able to reverse a takedown and eventually just ground and pound the guy out. Knocked him, TK'd him in the late first round. Another guy that is looking really good from England. Yeah, really, really talented guy.
Oh, you know what? He stuck to his fundamentals, as opposed to the other guy that did all that fancy nonsense. And that's what I'm going to call it, nonsense, because you never caught him off guard. Usually when you try that kind of stuff, you're trying to catch him off guard with something fancy that he's not expecting. But if it's all fancy and no substance, then you get your face smashed like Murphy did. You know, like and like that weird kick where you try to do it's almost like a back kick he was doing for soccer. I'm just like, what does that do? Like what does no seriously like what does that strike what does that actually do? What will that actually do to your opponent besides kind of look cool in the ring? Because that's all it did. Like even Bisping's like, okay, come on now,
Right.
enough of that. And he's right because it doesn't serve any purpose. Maybe just to confuse your opponent because he doesn't know what you're trying to do, right? But if you're going to try to do nonsense throughout the entirety of the fight, and it just doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you anywhere. You know, like it had no bearing on the fight. He should have stopped doing that and started trying to fight more traditionally. And then maybe this will be a learning thing for him to know that, I can't just be fooling around in there. You're not going to win. I'm going to win.
Yeah, well, a lot of these capoeira guys come in and they try to use their fancy dance moves and they do a lot of really strange things. We saw it here in Vancouver with Tristan Connolly. The guy came in, he was a lot bigger than Connolly. He had all these flashy moves, and Connolly's game plan was let this guy dance around, flip around, do all that, get tired, then I'm going to take him out and beat him. And Zach's the same thing happened, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what Murphy did. He just goes, okay, that's a lot of fancy stuff. That's great to do. I'll stay calm, cool, collected. I'll actually fight, the right way, traditionally, and everything else. And then, he eventually just got the takedown, smashed his face in, and then there you go. That was the end of the fight.
Yeah. So, I'm not a fan of that. I actually did capoeira, and I think it has its place, but a lot of it's just useless. A lot of it's just for flash and dash, and it's not going to give you any advantage in a fight. And it's starting to prove it. I've seen it happen a little bit too much lately. It's never, capoeira was actually never a martial art. It was a dancing discipline. And so these guys keep bringing it in and trying, and people go ooh and ah at the beginning, but then usually the guys, get waking up in the cage. So
yeah, exactly. Like if somebody comes in with that capoeira style and can prove to me that it's actually truly effective, then maybe. But that really hasn't happened yet. That hasn't happened yet. So I'm still waiting for the man to be that ultimately talented to use that style and to be successful with that style. But we'll see. We'll see. And like I said, hopefully Ramos learns his lesson from this fight and comes back with a little bit of a better game plan. Or not.
Yeah. Then there was a light heavyweight matchup. Two guys with a heck of a lot of vowels in their names. Modestas Bukauskas and Andreas Michailidis. That was a super entertaining first round. A little bit of a controversial ending to that first round. Bukauskas looked really, really phenomenal. Michailidis decided to go for a late takedown and had him up against the cage and was trying, and all of a sudden Bukauskas started elbowing him in the side of the head and probably landed about 5-6 of them before the bell rang, and all of a sudden Michailidis' bell was ringing, and unfortunately he leaned back to try to sort of gather himself, and the cage door was open and he fell out of the cage. So it was unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and I saw that the intensity with which the ref was looking at him, right? Like he's watching him to see if he shows, and I could tell from that point, he was looking at him saying to himself, if he seems sort of rocked at any point in time, I'm calling the fight. I'm calling the fight immediately. You could tell. And unfortunately for Michailidis, he had no idea that the cage door had opened. So it looked like he got rocked. But he never fought it. He wasn't up in arms, right? I think he actually was rocked. And I think he did know it's like, man, if this fight continues, I think I'm going to lose the fight anyways. Because I don't think he was going to be able to get his head right. I think he was rocked. Like, Bukauskas hit him with those elbows. Like, it kind of reminded me of Travis Brown. Those Travis Brown elbows, and literally just took him apart. Like, he got hit in the side of the head. You could see the knot. like after the fight was done, like the accuracy where those elbows landed on his head. And personally, you know, in retrospect for me, when I looked at it again, I thought it was actually a good stoppage.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good stoppage, to be completely honest, because of the fact of his body mannerisms, the fact that he didn't fight the ref immediately, he didn't jump up all in arms, and he seemed like a defeated fighter to me, anyways. So.
Yeah. That was that was the same ref, Dan Movahedi, that we talked
Our
about,
boy.
kind of controversial earlier. So, of course, the only thing that, you know, I kind of wish that he would have done is give him a little bit of time, because, you know, obviously seeing him fall out of the cage, that alerted him. But, you know, he had a minute. He had a minute to, you know, get his wits about him. And, you know, maybe that would have, you know, had a different result. I think it felt like Michailidis was complaining that it was the back of his head, and he was just reaching to the back of his head and kept stroking it, and seemed like he was trying to tell the ref, hey, this guy illegally hit me. I'm rocked from it. Give me an opportunity to, you know, recover, because if it is a legal hit to the back of the head, you got a chance to recover. And sometimes they take a point, sometimes they don't, inadvertent. But they asked him if he wanted to see a replay. He said absolutely not. Wouldn't look at a replay. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit controversial. He definitely was rocked by those elbows, though. And yeah, that was I think it was Overeem that took those Travis Brown elbows to the head and got knocked out. And yeah, you know, that was a fantastic knockout, and that did definitely resemble that. Yeah, I feel bad for Michailidis. I wish he had more of a chance, because it was right at the end of the round, and, you know, I thought he should have got maybe an opportunity to gather himself and go back in there. But yeah, you know, it's unbelievable that it was just right at the opening of the cage there.
Yeah, crazy. I know. It was unfortunate that he had to be positioned right there at that point in time at that part of the cage. Like anywhere else in that cage, he probably lets the fight go on. You know what I mean? Like it's just luck of the draw, bad luck, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I guess any other ref would have probably given him that time, to be honest with you. Yeah. But, you know, unfortunately, we had to deal with our boy. So, you know, he's got no nonsense there. He doesn't mess around.
Bukauskas looked impressive. He's 11-2 now. That was his UFC debut. Looked really, really great. He's actually the first Lithuanian fighter to ever win a fight in the UFC, which yeah, blew my mind. That's pretty great. Now Lithuanian kids got a guy to look at and aspire to. So good on the UFC for bringing a Lithuanian guy in there, giving him opportunity. And yeah, he didn't disappoint. He looked really good in that whole first round. It was a great first round. Really, really good fight.
Yeah, really good fight. I look forward to seeing both those men again. And Bukauskas, I really loved how light he was on his feet. He had great movement throughout the course of that fight. Even taking those hard leg kicks didn't seem to affect his mobility whatsoever. Good fight.
Yeah, great fight. Yeah. So then we had a decision victory. Jared Gordon over Chris Fishgold. Gordon, Flash Gordon, he definitely was really great with the ground and pound, just a clinic there. Yeah, I just felt like he, you know, was the superior fighter. Fishgold missed weight, and he just didn't look like the Fishgold I've seen before. And
he didn't look good.
Jared Gordon was really good.
Yeah, Jared Gordon looked great, looked fantastic. Obviously, with whatever happened with Fishgold's weight cut, which obviously didn't go well, that you could tell, again, compromised his stamina and his endurance throughout the course of the fight. And Gordon just capitalized on that. And his control time on the ground, Gordon's, was over 10 minutes. 10 minutes of control time throughout the course of that fight, man. So you do that, yeah, you're going to win every fight. You're going to win every fight that you have. So, yeah, dominant win by Gordon. And hopefully Fishgold next time comes in, like, you know, underweight or at the weight he's supposed to.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's always bad when they Can't make weight. It's not fair. So
Yeah.
yeah, then we went into a women's flyweight fight. Diana Belbita against Liana Jojua, and Jojua weathered a few initial punches. Belbita hit her about 5 times and took her down. Jojua reversed that and ended up getting a really good submission. 243 into the first round. That armbar was looked pretty relentless. She just I think Bisping said dog on the bone. She just wouldn't let go of that arm and just kept at it until she tapped.
Yeah, so I like kind of reminded me of the Rebus fight with Paige Van Zandt, where obviously not as technically skilled, but more like the dog on the bone, and then eventually kept manipulating the arm until she got that arm, and then was almost going to rip it right off the other woman's body until she tapped. So good thing that she tapped. It's a good thing. Great win by her. Great armbar victory.
No kidding. Yeah. Yeah. So okay. Well, I think we've covered that. The first fight of the night was Jack Shore submission win. Halfway through the second round. Sorry. Jack Shore remains undefeated, 13-0. Looked really good. I know you didn't get an opportunity to see that, but yeah, it was all right. But let's switch gears now. Why don't we go to Saturday's card and break it down? We've got a rematch between Deiveson Figueiredo and Joseph Benavidez, and they went at it last year. They had a really good firefight. It was supposed to be for the vacant title, but Figueiredo missed weight, so he wasn't able to get the belt. He did take the victory over Benavidez, but there was a lot of controversy about it because there was a inadvertent headbutt. Benavidez was rocked, and he started grabbing at his head and lost control, lost a little bit of focus, and Figueiredo just jumped on him and knocked him out. And so Benavidez, I thought, was the better fighter all around. Yeah, did you get you got a chance to see that fight, obviously?
Yes,
and
yeah.
What was your thoughts about the first match?
Yeah, man, like it was unfortunate because like Figueiredo used that headbutt to his advantage. He really did, because I think he headbutted him and saw that he was rocked and blitzed him. Saw that the ref was about to break them apart and give him like a break or whatever, and he just blitzed him immediately. And yeah, he won, right? But at the same time, he didn't make weight, so he couldn't win the belt and everything else. So it's cool to see that they're going to do it again. And personally, I think it's going to be a very different result this time around. I don't think Benavidez is going to lose this one this time.
No.
Yeah.
In the early stages of that first fight, Figueiredo had an armbar on Benavidez and almost made him tap. But those guys are just so shifty. They're just moving constantly, and trying to get into better positions. And Benavidez just wasn't allowing that to sink in and continue the fight. But wow, it was really deep and really had an opportunity to finish it right away.
Oh yeah, man. Like both guys are highly skilled. I love watching the little guys fight because they just have that technical savvy that you just don't see in the upper weight divisions as much. So it's gonna be a barn burner. I think they're just gonna both put on a very good performance tomorrow night, or Saturday night, I should say.
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday.
So Joseph Benavidez's wife is Megan O'Leary, who we get to see and have the pleasure of listening to. Megan's ended up turning into definitely one of the best mixed martial arts announcers. She adds so much to the broadcast. She finds a lot of really great nuggets. She's really good at interviews. Super impressed by her. And they're a power couple. They get to go to the bubble together and stay there and enjoy themselves. Not a lot of guys are having their spouses into this Fight Island bubble, but good
True.
for them. And I'm impressed by Megan just so much. I love her, what she brings to the table for this UFC event.
Yeah, I love the pieces that she does. I love the insights that she has on most of the fighters and what she has to say about them. She's great at her job. She's real good at her job, man. So Yeah, it's a very fortunate situation for you to have your wife there because, well, she's part of the company. You know what I mean? She works, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's
But not a
really
lot of
great.
guys get that.
No, no, definitely not. So, yeah, good on them. Yeah, I'm hoping Benavidez can right the wrong. It's terrible when a guy gets a headbutt and has to lose like that. Yeah, I hope he can win, and maybe it sets up a trilogy fight between the two of them. I'm really excited. These guys are just they're both bangers. They both just love to get in there and throw as much as possible. Benavidez has been in so many firefights and amazing scraps, and I'm glad it's a main event. I think it's going to live up to the billing, and yeah, it should make for a really fun night.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it.
And so the co-main event has Kelvin Gastelum against Jack Hermanson. Both of them have lost coming into this. Gastelum 2 losses, but Darren Till, he didn't look very good. But Israel Adesanya, he looked really impressive, and he actually outstruck Adesanya more than anybody else has by far. 91 significant strikes landed against Adesanya, and nobody else had landed more than 46. So yeah, I mean, Gastelum looked really good. Nobody else has looked good against Adesanya, in my opinion. And really, if he can bring that performance against Hermanson, I think look out.
Oh yeah, man. Like this is definitely a stylistic fight because both these guys fight very differently from one another. Um, I am looking forward to it. Like I'm looking forward to seeing like if I believe Hermanson is the taller man, so he should have the greater reach on Gastelum, I think. And because Gastelum usually has to work inside everybody anyways, right? He's got quick hands and everything. And Hermanson might just, like I think he's definitely going to be mixing up his attacks. He's going to attack a little bit on the feet. He's definitely going to try to bring him down to the ground and harass him on the ground. Yeah, so Gastelum has to be ready for everything that Hermanson's going to throw at him. It's going to be a good fight. I don't really know what to expect from it because like their styles are just so completely different. But I think it's going to be a very good fight. Good.
Yeah, usually people are taller than Gastelum. He's usually a small guy. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm checking the advantage there. Yeah, I think Hermanson's a little bit taller, a couple inches. But the thing about Hermanson, I remember. Do you remember the Jacare Souza fight that Hermanson had? It was a fight night, and they were the main event. Remember that one? Yeah. Actually, Hermanson has a UFC record for that fight. He threw 496 strikes in that fight, and he landed 256 of them against Souza in his victory. That's a middleweight record for strikes thrown. And Chael Sonnen has the record for strikes landed in that division. When he fought Anderson Silva, he actually landed 320 strikes on Anderson Silva when he almost beat him, and he got triangle choked right at the very end of that fight. Yeah, I mean, Hermanson, really throws a lot, and that Jacare performance really impressed me, and hopefully he can bring that against Gastelum.
Oh yeah, man! Like that performance was, I think, probably out of his career his best. Like that was his best. He was on point that night, indefinitely against a guy as dangerous as Jacare. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if we get that performance from Hermanson, and we get that performance from Gastelum, we get those two kind of guys, those two fighters coming up. Oh man, that might be fight of the night then, right there. That might be fight of the night.
Yeah. He's very well rounded. He knocks guys out. He had 2 consecutive guillotine choke wins. He beat David Branch and Gerald Meerschaert, both guillotine chokes. He is a very well-traveled fighter. He's fought in 9 countries around the world, which is pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. He lost to Jared Cannonier by knockout in his last fight, but he's very impressive. 20-5, really had a lot of great competition. He's been a champion in Cage Warriors. He's fought in a lot of really good promotions, and yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this co-main. I think both of them are really good. Gastelum, he won that tough 17, I think it was, and has really been in a lot of amazing battles. He's looked very impressive in so many of his fights, and I think both of them are really good guys. They're coming off losses, but I'm glad that they matched these guys together.
Oh yeah, man, me too. Me too. And yeah, like, how about this? And this is another thing I'll say. I love this co-main event better than the last one. This one seems like a bona fide co-main event, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I look forward to it when it does happen.
The only other thing I can mention about Gastelum is he said he got really depressed after the loss to Adesanya. He put on 30 pounds. He actually has been caught for marijuana a couple times. He said he was battling a lot of demons and has really had some low moments. But he said he's revitalized. He's been able to get some help with the demons that he had, and I think this could be one of the best mental health. How do I say it? I think he could be at his peak of mental health, being able to get over a lot of the problems that he had. Let's see. I'm hoping for the guy.
Yeah, anybody that has the courage to speak out on what they're dealing with when it comes to mental health should be applauded. You know what I mean? Because like that's a very tough thing to deal with on a day-to-day, and especially like if you see your dreams crushed like that, right? And then it's hard to pick yourself up and reconstruct yourself so that you can continue on with the fight, so to speak. So, to do that takes a lot of willpower and a lot of mental fortitude to continue to push through. So good for him. Good on him to do that for himself.
Yeah, no, it was kind of surprising. I hadn't heard that until just recently, and I'm glad he talked about his issues and difficulties, and I'm really glad that he's got some help. And it's pretty prevalent in the world today, especially with the pandemic that we've gone through. A lot of people have had some troubles with it, and when athletes can speak out, a lot of people that are going through it realize that it's not just them. And they can, associate themselves with guys that, have had success and had some failures, but, they can rise back up again. And 2 losses, it always is really hard on the psyche for a mixed martial artist, and a lot of worries. So, yeah, I'm glad he's getting the help he needs. And let's hope those demons, he can push them away and keep that depression away, and get the help he needs if it ever comes back.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. It sounds like he is getting the help that he needs, and hopefully he'll come back stronger from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the other fights on the main card are Mark Diakis against Rafael Fiziev. Don't know much about Fiziev, but Diakis, he's always super, super strong. He's really, really in shape, and dominates most of his fights. 14-3, coming out of England as well. I'm usually very impressed with his performances.
Yeah, man, Diakisi is explosive fighter, entertaining fighter, and I look forward to seeing an entertaining fight for him. And as for the other gentleman that he's fighting across from, Fiziev, I don't know him very well, so I'm interested to see what the man will bring to the table. So
yeah. There's a women's flyweight fight before that one. It's Ariane Lipski against Luana Carolina. Lipski's got twice as many fights in the cage as Carolina. I've definitely heard some of the pundits say that they're favoring Lipski in this one. I tend to agree. She's got 17 fights compared to 7 with Luana Carolina. So anything you can add to this matchup?
I can agree with what the pundits are saying. Like, yeah, obviously with the experience or the wealth of experience that Lipski has over Carolina. Although you never know with some of these younger fighters now. Like you can make quantum jumps in a very short amount of time. Like let's look at Chimaev. He only had 6, and he went against a guy that had 31 fights.
Wow.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. what we see in this particular fight, and we'll see how good Carolina is or not.
Right.
Like Lipsky is a very good litmus test for her. So
True. Yeah. And then the only other fight on the main card is Alexander Pantoja against Askar Askarov. Pantoja's 22-4. Askarov's unbeaten, 11-0-1. I guess it's kind of the same situation. Guy that's got about half as much experience coming in.
yeah,
I think Pantoja's, with his experience, he should win, but this guy's undefeated, getting an opportunity. What are your thoughts?
yeah, man. Again, this, like you just said, like the same sort of thing. Pantoja versus Askarov, and again, Askarov is undefeated. I don't take that lightly whenever a fighter comes in undefeated. So the man obviously knows how to win, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do against a seasoned fighter of Pantoja's experience.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the main card for UFC Fight Night. That's called UFC Fight Night 173, coming up on the Flash Forum in Abu Dhabi. It's going to be great. The only other fight that I'll mention, I know you haven't looked at the prelim card too much, but Canadian Malcolm Gordon is fighting in the flyweight division. He's fighting a guy, Amir Albazi. Malcolm Gordon has been a really great fighter locally, and fights in a really good camp with a lot of the top Canadian guys back east. And he's 30 years old, 12-3. Took him a long time to finally get a UFC shot, but I'm super impressed with Malcolm. He holds a belt in another organization, and definitely try to watch that fight yourself, Jason, and any of the viewers and listeners. Really, really talented guy, and I'm glad he's finally getting a shot here.
Oh yeah, no, it's always great to hear about any Canadian that finally gets their shot or their chance in the UFC, because hey, all of Canada's rooting for you, so go get it.
No doubt. So great week with 3 fights in a 7-day span. Very fun. I'm glad we had a fight night in the middle of the week. It hasn't happened in quite a while. I can't even remember the last time there was a middle of the week fight card, but we were treated to one last night, and I'm glad you had a chance to watch it. Thanks so much for breaking it down with me today. It was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to Saturday as well. Anything more that you want to add in?
Yes. One more thing I want to add. It's just a little of a side that I saw the other day with a friend. It's a documentary that's off Netflix, and it's about Stephon Marbury, the story of Stephon Marbury. And I put it out there to the viewers and listenership. Give it a watch. It might change your idea of who Stephon Marbury was as a person, and maybe even as a basketball player too, as well. It's a great story about his journey, and about the mistakes he made, and then how he came back from said mistakes. So it's a great story. So
Awesome.
I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Netflix. Everybody's got Netflix, so it should be easy to find. Probably won't even have to put any link in, like most of the videos that I've been talking about the last few calls we've had. But great. I'm glad you pointed that out. I think you pointed it out to me the other day. I haven't had a chance to watch, but I will definitely put it on the top of my list, and I can't wait. Stephon Marbury was one of the most talented basketball players, and had the world by the tail for a little while there, and then there was some issues and difficulties, and he had to go overseas to play. And he became very, very famous in China for a few years there. And but it'll be really neat to get a different perspective on him.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like it's kind of eye opening. It's actually very eye opening, especially to see his ascendance in China and how important a figurehead he is in China. It's ridiculous. It's super. it's impressive. It's impressive to say in the least, for sure. So yeah,
Well,
go out and watch it. Highly recommend it. Watch it.
sounds great, Jason. Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me midweek like this. Yeah,
No problem.
I'm glad you're still off of work so we can keep doing this, and it's such a pleasure being able to do it twice this week. Yeah, thanks for breaking it down. Enjoy the fights on Saturday, and I'm sure we'll be in close contact very soon.
Oh yeah, you betcha, man. Talk to you later.
Okay, all the best. Take care.
All the best.
All right, that was great as usual. Fantastic that Jason can come in on a Thursday and break down a UFC fight night. Yeah, it didn't have a huge amount of star power, and lots of these fight nights don't. But as I've talked with Jason, as I talked with Scott Holborn and Stefan, and a lot of the other guys in the mixed martial arts community, wow, you're not expecting a huge card, and then all of a sudden some of these guys emerge, and they're getting the chance of a lifetime, and they're seizing the opportunity, and they're just really, really, really impressive. That's the really amazing thing about mixed martial arts and fighting in general, is it's a worldwide phenomenon. Every single solitary place in the world, there's fighting going on, and these guys are becoming some of the most highly skilled athletes on the planet, and they are coming out of bad situations in a lot of their cases, and they learn how to deal with the issues and problems and aggression and things, and they go to a gym and they become highly skilled, and then they bring their talents to the best organization in the world for mixed martial arts, the UFC, and we're treated to just phenomenal performances. A couple of the guys last night didn't really know anything about them, and they came in and changed their life, and it's really remarkable how much it happens, and because the UFC has been so prominent lately, so many eyeballs on them, these guys are really, like I said, seizing that opportunity and changing their life, and I'm really proud to have an opportunity to watch it and to spread out their names to yourself and to the world, and keep enjoying these UFC events. Yeah, we've got a couple more coming from Abu Dhabi this Saturday. It's going to be really fun. And so, yeah, enjoy the fights. Thanks for tuning in. Always appreciate it. Tell your friends, tell your family, subscribe, like it, find it on your podcast, make it a regular part of your week. And we'll just keep bringing more and more of this for you. So love you lots. Take care of yourself. We will talk very soon. Bye for now.